Let's go to work inside of our auth service again. We'll add a logout function this time. And to log a user out, since we're just storing information about authentication tokens, the only thing we really need to do is remove that token. And we'll also set this.loggedIn to false. That's all we need to do in our auth service to handle authentication logout. Now the question is where we're going to use this logout method. We don't want to use it in the login component because that's where we're just logging a user in. Let's go take a look at our app. Let's add a login and a logout button here in this nav bar. This nav bar is part of our overall app component, so let's do the logout function inside of app component. Let's close these things out. And we'll keep login component open because I want to circle back and do something there in a second. We'll go into app component.ts, and inside of here, right next to our UL, we'll have another UL class navbar nav, and navbar right. We'll have two li, a router link, and this will go to the login page. We'll also have li a, and this will be an evented on click. We'll say log out. Now we don't want both of these showing at the same time. We need to create this logout method. So down here we'll say log the user out, and this is where we'll call that auth service. This dot auth service dot logout. We'll also want to redirect them after we log out because we're not sure what page they'll be on. We'll do this dot router dot navigate, and we'll push them to the login page. You could also push them to the home page. It's fine either way. Depends on how you want your app to flow. Notice I called it auth service instead of just service. The reason I called it auth service is because we already have a service here. Now it could get a little confusing since we have two services in the same component. We'll just call this one user service. And now we have auth service. This clarifies things for us, and we know that it's a service where we can grab data from. Let's bring in down to our constructor private auth service. And let's break that into multiple lines. We also need private router, which is the router. Looking good. All right, now we have everything we need here in our app component. Let's go take a look. We have login and logout. If we click logout, we'll go back to the login page. Let's make sure that that logout button actually worked for us. We'll go to application, local storage, and notice that our auth token is no longer there. Refresh that to be sure, and it is gone. Now the one thing I wanted to deal with here is handling an error message. This will be a really quick one. If we log in, notice that we have console errors, missing email or username. So this we kind of want to show to our users. We'll handle that in login component on error. Let's say this dot error message is equal to error. And when we log in, we'll say this dot error message is equal to blank because we'll clear it. Let's give that a shot. All right, we have our error there. Pass in a username and we get missing password. All right, looking good. Next up, let's go into app component and make sure that only one of these shows up if we're logged in or not. Let's log in. We get redirected. We are logged in. That means we don't want this login button to show again. We can easily do that since our auth service has an isLoggedIn method. Create a new method on the app component. Is the user logged in? Now we'll do something a little different with this method. We'll do a get method. Is logged in. We will return this .service.isLoggedIn. The reason this is a get, and we'll see it in a second, is that we can actually just use this as a variable or a string and just pass it into a template. So it will evaluate it and treat it as if it were a variable instead of a function here. In app component, let's go all the way up to our template. Here we want to do ng if, and this is not is logged in. We'll do the same for logout, but we'll do ng if is logged in. Notice we're not calling the method way and calling the function. By using that get on our class, we'll automatically get what is logged in is. Let's go take a look. We are showing the login button now, which is wrong because we actually want to see the log out button. Let's go take a look to see what's going on. In app component, we have not is logged in and is logged in, and that makes sense. Let's go down, and I believe I put is logged in the wrong place. We actually put it in login component. Is the user logged in? Delete that. We want that in app component. And this .service is actually auth service. All right, that should do the trick now. Perfect. We see the log out button, and let's click log out. Application localhost, no token here. We'll log in with some random information. The login button still shows. And I believe we need to do one more thing in our auth service to fix all of this. If we go into auth service, login, do if res.token, we'll set the token, and we will also set this .loggedIn is equal to true. And that should do the trick. Now when we refresh our application, since it's starting from scratch, it goes to look at that token. And the logout is there, looking good. Log out, type in information, log in, and we get that logout button just like we expected. All right, so we hit a few road bumps there, but we finally got our login, logout buttons to show and hide. Next up, we'll handle one small final thing, and then we'll move on to a little wrap up. Overall, though, I think this has been a really fun exercise in learning how the HTTP library works. So let's move on and finish up this course.